Hello and welcome back. In this exercise, we're going to be creating a concession stand program. And this exercise is going to be a follow-up for our dictionary lessons. We're going to be putting exactly what we've learned from our dictionary lessons into practice in this exercise. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, a concession stand program is actually a program that will present the user with a menu of items to buy with their respective prices, and then our program will give a chance to the user to select the items from the menu which he wanted to buy, and our user can go ahead and select multiple items from our menu. So then after the customer or the user finalizes selection, and then our program is going to go ahead and calculate the total of the items he selected from our menu and then present him with an invoice. So as you can see, I've already defined a dictionary containing our menu with a bunch of list of items with their price tag. So now let's go ahead and start displaying the menu to our user. Now let's come over here, and I wanted to put some decorative text. So let's say print, and then I'm going to add 5 dashes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then say our menu, something like this, and then 5 more dashes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so then I'm going to come down here and use a for loop to loop through our dictionary items. So I'm going to say for key slash value in our menu dot items. Remember the items method that present our list pairs as a tuple, and then we're going to go ahead and say we wanted to print. I'm actually going to use an F string. Let me add a placeholder, print a key space our value right here. Let me actually copy this, paste this right here. So if you remember our dictionary lessons, our dictionary items are stored in key value pairs. So here we're looping through our dictionary, and right here we are representing each key with the key variable and the value with the value variable. And then after that, within our for loop, we say we wanted to print everything, every key and every value within our menu dictionary. So now let's go ahead and give it a try. Let's go ahead and run our script. As you can see, we have our menu right here, a decorative text, and we have our dictionary items and their respective prices. Alright, let me actually go ahead and give an even space between our dictionary items, our menu, and their prices. So we can simply do that when we come over here, say colon, and say I want to give 10 space in between them. Now let's go ahead and now run our script again. As you can see, we have a more cleaner menu. Alright, perfect. And then right here for the prices, I wanted to add a unit of currency. Let's say dollars. Run our script. Alright, so let me actually go ahead and change this to 2 decimal fraction by using the modifier right here. Let's see, colon dot 2f, like so, and let's go ahead and run our script again. Yes, as you can see, this is much better. Alright, so let me actually go ahead and add another text decoration down below here. Let me copy this line of code, copy this, come down below here outside our for loop, and let me just remove this and add more dashes like so. And now let's go ahead and run our script one more time. Yes, as you can see, our menu. Alright, let me actually try to align this because our text decoration is going beyond our menu right here. So let me try to align everything. Let me go by reducing the dashes, something like this. Let me rerun our script. Yes, I think this is much better. Now everything is aligned. Alright, let's see. Let's go ahead and run our script again. Okay, let me add 2 more. Like so, perfect. Alright, now our next step is to go ahead and ask the user to select the items we wanted to buy from our menu right here. So let's go ahead and do that. Now let's minimize this. Now let's come down here. Let me actually close everything. Okay, let me comment that out. Let's say asking the user for input. Alright, now because I want to give the user a chance to select multiple items from our menu, so I'm going to go ahead and put our prompt inside the while loop. So while true. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and define another variable to store our inputs like so, and say input, and our prompt should be select an item from the menu. And then we're going to give chance to the user to exit the loop. So we're going to say enter Q to quit. Something like that. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and now say if our food, if the input that the user enters is Q, then we should go ahead and exit out of our loop. We're going to say break. And then after that, I'm going to say else if menu inside our menu.get. Remember our get method, food is not none. This should be actually is not in, is not none. So this condition will basically only accept items from our menu. If the user type in something that is not in our menu, then we're not going to accept that. And everything that our user is going to be selecting out of our menu, we're going to store them inside a separate variable. So let me actually go ahead and define an empty set. It's called cart. Alright, something like this. And let me actually go ahead and define another variable called total and set it to 0. Alright, something like this. Let me actually take these two variables to the top right here. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and start storing the inputs collected from our user inside of our empty set right here. So now if the input or the items he selected is available inside of our menu, that is exactly what this condition is checking. If the inputs are available inside of our menu right here, then we should go ahead and store them inside our cart. Otherwise, we should discard that. So let's come down below here and start putting our input inside of our empty set right here called cat. So I'm going to go ahead and say cart dot append, and we're going to go ahead and append the food. Alright, something like this. Now let's go ahead and test our script. We are not done with the script yet, but let's go ahead and test it so far. Now we're going to come over here, and here we have our menu, and our program is saying select an item from the menu, enter Q to quit. So let me actually first of all enter Q to see. Yes, as you can see, I've successfully exit out of our program. I've exit out of our while loop. So our condition right here is working perfectly. Now let's go ahead and enter a valid item menu. So let's go ahead and now run our script once again. Select an item from the menu. So let's go ahead and say we want pizza. Hit enter. Nachos. Popcorn. And let's say mango. Well, as you can see, we have pizza in our menu, we have nachos, we have popcorn, but we do not have mango. So on right here, we are saying our program should only store the items available inside of our menu right here. Otherwise, the item should not be stored. It's going to store only the items available inside of our menu. So now we're going to be expecting only a list containing pizza, nachos, and corn, but without mango. Actually, I forgot to even print it out. Let me come down below here and say I wanted to print, no, not here, say print our cart, something like this. Now let's go ahead and rerun our program again. Otherwise, we're not going to be seeing the output. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and enter pizza, nachos, popcorn, and mango, something like this. Now we should have a list containing popcorn, nachos, and pizza, but without mango because mango is not available inside of our menu right here. So let's go ahead and now hit enter, and this time around we're going to exit and hit enter. As you can see right here, we have our list of pizza, nachos, and popcorn, but mango is not included because mango is not included inside of our menu right here. So perfect. So now this condition is working absolutely fine as well. Alright, now that we know that we are getting all the right data that we want, let's go ahead and now start printing our invoice. So now let me actually go ahead and minimize this, and then right here I'm going to come over here and let me add a comment and say calculating the total, something like this, and I'm going to put some decorative text. Let me actually copy this one right here, paste it right here and say invoice, Alright, so after that, I'm going to go ahead and use the for loop to loop through our user or customer selection and display all the items that he selected. So I'm going to say for food in our cart. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and calculate the total amount of the items that our user or client selected. So I'm going to go ahead and now call our total variable right here that we've created. Paste it right here and set it to, let's say, plus equal to menu dot get, and we're going to go ahead and get our prices with their associated keys. So remember, each items our user selected will be represented with the food right here. So let's go ahead and paste this. So now with this line of code, we're going to be getting the associated prices of the items our user selected from our menu. Let's say our user choose pizza. So now this method is going to get this method right here. This line of code is going to get the associated price of pizza. So now after getting all of those ones, and it's going to now sum them and add them to our total variable right here. So that's basically what this line of code does. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and now print the food that the user purchases. So let's go ahead and say print food. And now let's go ahead and run our script to test our program, even though we're not done yet. So let's say our user select pizza, soda, chips, and hit enter. And this time around, we're going to execute. Alright, as you can see right here, we have all our selected items displayed within our invoice. Now we're going to go ahead and display the total. Alright, let me come down below here, outside of our for loop, and I'm going to go ahead and say print. I'm going to use an f string and say total is, add a placeholder, our total right here. Paste this right here, add a unit of currency like so, and I'm gonna make our total to have 2 decimal fractions. So I'm gonna say 2f. Now let's go ahead and run our script once again. Alright, let's go ahead and say chips, soda, nachos, mango, and quit. Alright, as you can see, we have chips, soda, nachos, but we do not have mango. Why? Because mango does not exist in our menu right here. So, but we have chips, soda, nachos, and our total is $17.31. Let me actually go ahead and add a print function right here to give it a little bit of space in between. Alright, let's go ahead and run our script one more time. Let's go ahead and say nachos, soda, and quit. Alright, as you can see, we have nachos, sodas, and our total is $10.30. Alright, so friend, that's all about concession stand program in Python. And as I've mentioned from the start of this exercise is actually a follow-up for our dictionary lessons. It's actually meant for us to create and manipulate dictionary items. And I hope everything is clear to you in this exercise and that you enjoy it. And I'll see you in the next one.